One of the challenges as you get to be older and you don't have children is that you see others around you when you get to be a certain age and they have children and they have different perspective in terms of how they are living their daily lives having children, and you can sometimes feel like the odd duck in a sea of parents with kids. And you start to feel that a little bit more as you get older, and the reality sets in that maybe you're not going to have kids like other people. And it's a tough reality for many people to deal with. And sometimes people who have kids maybe aren't able to appreciate the challenge that people who do not have kids have to endure. And it's not necessarily their fault, although I think it's just, again, people coming from two different perspectives, from two different lives, two different lifestyles. It can be very challenging sometimes to understand the person who is childless and is really struggling with it as well, especially if they cannot have kids or they just weren't lucky enough to have kids. Maybe they could, but they just didn't happen for them. Maybe they didn't find the right person to have kids with, or they just were never in the right situation. It can be any number of reasons, but it can also be very challenging for people. And as you get older, you just start to think about lost opportunities and why things didn't work out. Who's going to carry on the family legacy, not giving mom and dad the grandkids that they wanted. And it can be very tough. It can be very difficult. And again, for people that have kids and they have different life challenges and they have different frustrations, and they maybe tell you about the frustrations that they're having with their kids, and they sometimes can forget that people who don't have kids maybe feeling a certain type of way, and that's maybe not necessarily a positive way. And that's something that, again, it's difficult for people who don't have that experience one way or the other to really understand where the other side is coming from. And as you get older, the finality of certain things, the reality of certain situations can really be almost overbearing and very difficult to deal with. And so that's something that I've had to deal with as you get older and you get into your 40s and you realize what did not happen for you that happened for other people, and maybe in a way that other people take it for granted that they have this gift or these gifts that you never got, and they move on in their lives and their experiences are not something that you can necessarily relate to. And maybe your experiences are not necessarily something that they can relate to, but you have to find that inner peace that you can move on. And that's been very difficult for a single person to move on and to maybe leave behind the dream of having kids and to focus on trying to find a good, solid relationship. It's not easy. It can be very, very difficult, but you have to play the hand that you're dealt. And sometimes it's a tough hand, but you have to play it anyway. And that's something that you have to learn to cope with. And each individual person is going to have to learn to cope with it in their own individual way, because you want to have that inner peace. And it can be very difficult to come by, and it can be very difficult for some of the people around you to relate to. But that's one of the reasons why you have to find that inner peace yourself and find a way to move on in a way that's going to be mentally, emotionally healthy for you to become the best person that you can be, even if you don't necessarily live up to all of your expectations, and even if you don't realize all the dreams that you had for yourself.